The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Green Acres and our guests. These general gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all label directions.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. And here we grow. What's up, garden friends, and welcome one and all to the show. This is the home for all you green thumbs gardeners and plant lovers out there. This is the Green Acres Garden Podcast. I'm your happy host, Kevin Jordan, plant lover, back in for another week to learn and share a little bit about gardening and growing with you. Back in studio with my chlorophyll kid, my main man on audio. Hey, how's it going there, Austin?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, and welcome back to all of our listeners. You know, Kevin, I love doing this podcast with you, but you know what else I do like doing with you is shooting video, and it was so fun this morning. We got to hang out at your school garden and shoot some video content.
That was a blast. It's been too long, garden friend. No, we got off to such a great start back in March. April was a bit of a wash, but you know what? April showers bring May flowers. And what'd you think about the garden?
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. I can't wait to share it with everyone because it was so lush and beautiful, especially being there early in the morning. There's something about walking around in the garden early on. It is just stunning, absolutely beautiful. So I couldn't help but get lots of beautiful shots because it just is gorgeous. And I was blown away by all the tomatoes. Oh my gosh, your tomatoes are so far along.
We have tomatoes 6 feet tall. We've already been pulling off everything from cherry-sized tomatoes to the intermediate size to big slicers already. It's pretty incredible. And normally, it's funny, I get one of those alerts from my Facebook feed, and it's like, hey, this was you last year. And it showed my normal picture I take of the garden just straight on, and it was middle of May. The garden was pretty much empty.
Really?
It had just a few seedlings in there. You can see a couple tomatoes in there, seedlings, but not even knee-high. But most of the garden was empty, and I look at it now, and so it's quite different. So it's one of those things.
So what did you do that was so different this year?
You know, for me, we got things, had to do with what we were growing in the winter, how early it came out in the spring, and also the weather that we had in March was just so warm. And we were also had the beds ready earlier than normal, so ready
Everything
beds,
warm
weather, and we didn't plant out the entire garden, just a little bit to kind of experiment. And guess what? They're doing great, but I've got plenty more to plant. So if you're a listener and you're like, man, I don't have 6 foot tall tomato, don't worry about it. Like the kind of point I was making with the pictures, same gardener, same garden, completely different look even from year to year. And so even with the same person in the same space, things are different for everybody. So don't get hung up on where you're at right now. Even if your garden is completely empty and you have not a plant planted, I'm gonna urge you to listen to today's episode, get inspired by what Dave has to say, and I think by the end of it, you'll realize there is still plenty of time to plant. I'm still planting out in my own garden at the school. I actually just was at the nursery today, Austin.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I mean,
you've got,
middle of the week,
6 beds open still, right?
We're going to have about 8 long beds, about 3 feet wide, maybe about 15 feet long, and we are going to plant more tomatoes. We're going to plant a bunch of basil. We're even everything from seedlings to seeds, directly seeded. We're going to be planting. I'm actually really looking forward to planting some winter squash. I got some really interesting varieties from the seed rack, and I figured, hey, I got some space. We're going to grow them a little vertically, a little horizontally, and see how that goes. Hopefully, we'll have some birdhouse gourds to eat, some interesting kombucha squash. I got some unique butternut varieties that are supposed to be even sweeter than the normal butternuts.
Oh, really?
And some traditional kinds as well. But I like the idea of that because I love a good normal squash or zucchini. But if I can't be out in that garden, on the daily or every other day, sometimes those summer squash and zucchini get a little bit unwieldy. They get really big and massive, although I love them. They're so delicious. But for me at the school garden, these winter squash will fill a perfect niche for us where I can let them grow and flourish all summer, make sure they're getting water and getting access to everything they need. But they just let them go. The fruit will mature, and I can let it harden on the vine, take it when we need it and store it and enjoy it later. So I'm pretty fired up for this season. Like I said, some of the garden is planted out, but plenty of it is empty. So if you're in that empty stage, don't get disheartened.
That's great.
There's still hope for you. Everything from seeds to seedlings is on the table
That's
for you.
great news and so exciting. It's just so interesting how the weather can really move everything around. And like if you're following a vegetable planting calendar to the T, you may be limiting yourself.
Yeah.
So it seems like all bets are off. Everything's a game right now, and we can plant anything we want right now. So that's so exciting. And we've got the perfect guest to talk about vegetable gardening. One of the best in our area.
Love this guy.
Dave Fierro. Kevin, why don't you go ahead and set up Dave?
Please, thank you. So Dave is a longtime friend of ours. We befriended him. He is a super passionate gardener. He is as brilliant as he is kind, super nice person, but his ability to learn and his knowledge about gardening and growing is just every year gets exponentially larger, and he's willing to share that with a lot of people. He has started his own kind of like garden at his home that he dubbed Veneto Gardens. He is the president of the Auburn Garden Club, the VP of the Golden Gardeners of Auburn. He's works deep with the Auburn Grange, which is like this crazy, incredible meeting area for farmers and agriculturalists and ranchers. And he's super passionate about square foot gardening, organic gardening, and he absolutely loves tomatoes.
Yeah.
So I think he's a perfect guest for this time of year. And he himself, during the time of this interview, didn't have his garden fully planted out.
Right.
So if he is, I think, much in that same group of people who didn't get a jump start, but they're still looking forward to a nice, long, beautiful growing season. We are gifted here in our Zone 9B of Northern California.
Yeah.
But hopefully others are listening. Hopefully you can utilize your weather as well. But nice, long, we're going to be growing warm weather crops.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are in that boat. A lot of people haven't started yet, and that's okay. So let's get after it. Let's get inspired. Let's listen to Dave, learn about what he's growing and what kind of tips and tricks he's got for us to grow all the most amazing vegetables we can. Let's go ahead and jump into that. We sat down with Dave at the Green Acres Nursery and Supply in Rocklin, California. Let's jump into that now. Here we go.
All right, folks, so I'm here with our good friend, a skilled gardener, I guess and a world traveler. We're here with Dave Fierro. Dave, how's it going?
Doing great. I'm enjoying the great weather. It's not 110 degrees out.
Not yet.
And thankfully, and it feels great. I'm in really nice time outside right now.
Well, I'm stoked to have you here. I'm going to pick your brain. I really want to get caught up a little bit about kind of some of your adventures you've been on. And really, I know you've got your Galapagos hat on. Yeah. So please, let's start with that. You've been on a trip outside the country. Where'd you go?
Galapagos.
Yeah.
Well, Ecuador. So we started at Quito, which is crazy because it's the capital of Ecuador. It's at 10,000 foot elevation. So you start at 10,000 feet elevation, which is
not catch your breath a little bit.
Not healthy for people to walk around and not used to it. So it's a bit of a challenge. And then we spent some time there, and then we drove over the Andes, over 14,000 foot elevation, down to the Amazon.
What was the plant life like at 14,000 feet?
It's crazy because they hardly have frost. So 10,000. Okay, 10,000 foot is the capital. They hardly have frost. So you have things growing there is like, wait a minute, this makes no sense, right? At 10,000 feet, because we have snow. And so it's a very strange environment. 14,000 feet, it's alpine plants. So we got out of the bus and just wandered around, and I geeked out. So let me say what this trip was with. So this was a tour hosted by Joe Lamp'l.
Joe Gardner. And so famous gardener extraordinaire.
You could imagine Joe and I geeking out on all sorts of things, okay? It was a wonderful time. For a biologist, which I am, my first degree is in biology, seeing the Galapagos, which is where so much of genetics and how animals evolve
so isolated,
was documented, and how island isolation, what it does to everything there, everything. The Asteraceae family, right? Daisies?
The big family.
Yeah, they're all bushes everywhere in the world except there. There's a tree that's 30 feet high. That this one aster shows up at an island and evolves into many types of plants, and one becomes this tree. I mean, and has daisy flowers on it. It's crazy, right? That was awesome to see that. And then for a tomato nerd that I'm somewhat, okay, I was looking for endemic tomato species. So endemic means only found there, right? And there are 2 of them that are only found in the Galapagos Islands. Remember, tomatoes evolved in South America, right? And all sorts of different varieties. Well, I was on a trail to a lava tube, and near the back, of course, because that's where I like to be, because I take my time looking at things, and I found a tomato that is either the endemic species Solanum cheesmanii, is it, or it's something that's been crossed. But of course, Joe Lampel and I called him over, and him and I off geeking out just
over a wild tomato?
Over a wild tomato out in the Amazon. I mean, not Amazon, in the Galapagos, right? So that was totally cool, finding this thing.
So what are your hopes and dreams for your own garden experiences? I know we talk about you're always helping everybody else. You got the community gardens and whatnot. But for you and just this season, I mean, it's going to be a long, warm growing season.
Yeah.
What are you hoping to grow? Are you excited for certain plants? What are you hoping for?
Well, I'm always experimenting for myself, right, and trying to do a little bit. This year, I don't have a lot of experiments. There's years where I'll have 20 things going on at the same time. This year, I have a handful of things. I'm growing. A few years ago, I tried out those purple GMO tomatoes, right, and I enjoy them. They're a good taste, and
tomatoey.
They're tomatoey. They're not bad. So that's a good thing. Well, there's some new varieties out this year. One of them's called the beta tomato, and so beta meaning beta carotene. So this is going to be bright orange through and through. So you got the purple, and then you got the bright orange all the way through and through. So very high beta carotene, which is another good healthful food. So it'll be interesting to hear how that comes out.
Well, let me ask you, seeing as how you're a bit of a tomato connoisseur, I was going to say diva, but I didn't want to insult you. No, you're a tomato guy, man, and you love them, and I love that about you.
Anyway.
But what? And of all your years of gardening, and you give all these classes, and you reach out, you're doing a lot with it. What have you learned about tomato? Like, what is really the best path to success for growing a tomato at home? And consider this as the information you're given to somebody who maybe is kind of maybe new to gardening, or maybe loves gardening a bit, but just also wants to sharpen their skills. Like, what is the tips and tricks and just the overall best practices that you've learned in your travels and your journeys?
So, few things. Tomatoes need a little bit of fertilizer, but not a lot. So don't over-fertilize, otherwise you just get all leaf. The other thing is, our sun is brutal to tomatoes. It will cook them. So if you can put up a shade or have it so that morning sun, afternoon shade, they'll love it. So having a little bit of shade is good, and that makes a huge difference. Your watering should be not too much and not too little, and use your finger and check the soil. Not a lot of moisture, but don't let it dry out. Don't go between dry and wet, because you'll get splitting and you'll get blossom end rot. And that's the typical thing that causes blossom end rot. And people complain all the time, and it's typically people who grow in containers, raised beds, and the watering a raised bed is harder than in ground, significantly different.
Now, is that because it's drying out too much?
The water just drains through so fast. Yes, it dries out way too fast. And so it almost doesn't matter what you do. I mean, try to use mulch if you can, keep the moisture level, but not wet, but you feel some dampness, right? And all the time, and it's pretty good.
On the opposite end, how would you know if you're like, man, I'm really keeping this thing overly saturated, and maybe my plants are getting overwatered? What will that look like?
See, Well, that's a big problem because the symptoms are exactly the same. The plant wilts whether it's too much water or not enough water. So you really, if you see the plant wilting, don't just immediately add water. Dig down around the soil, the plant a bit. You're not going to hurt it. Dig around there and see if it's too wet, and just hold back. So you got to kind of take a look at it. I don't even trust those moisture meters and those types of things. I just go dig around and look.
Trust your eyes, trust your hand.
You need to go in and take a look. People ask me all the time, how much do you keep your drip going? I can't tell you because my ground's way different than yours.
How much water might be coming out of your drips or your micro sprays?
There's a million variables I cannot tell you. So the best thing to do is go down there and feel the soil. If it feels just a little bit of damp, if it feels damp, it's okay. If it drips of water way too much, if it's dry, then you could tell it's dry.
I think a lot of folks too that are maybe have a new drip system or they're utilizing micro sprays and things. They kind of get shocked at how long it really takes for that system to be on, for that water to actually, infiltrate the soil and go to depth at a meaningful level compared to what they were thinking.
Or what they'll do is they'll run one dripper at the end of a drip line, one dripper at a plant, go, okay, that's enough. It does not work that way. You really should, have something. I like the 1/4 inch micro drippers that have every 6 inches has drip line.
The inline drips in the tube?
Yeah. And I like to put that, you have that around the plant. So, maybe a 1 foot circle or so around a tomato plant.
Because that's the roots are going to be growing out radially.
You want the area to be moist, to get water, not one spot, because depending on your soil, that one spot may just go straight down and nothing else. There's no water to any of the other roots around. So it sounds more complicated than it is.
No, to me it sounds simple.
Honestly, just give it some water. Try not to let it bake in the sun, and you'll probably get tomatoes.
Yeah.
And then dial it in over time.
I love that.
That's kind of the way it goes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Outside of tomatoes, which we know we all love, what are some plants, whether it's veggies, herbs, or flowers, that you think belong in like a typical summer garden? Ones that just really go together, ones that are going to maybe hopefully be utilized in some dishes, ones that maybe people can either be successful with and also enjoy.
Yeah. I always start the year off with onions. And if you want to grow something like that, is the most simplest thing in the world to grow is onions. You put the seedlings in the ground at the beginning of February. You harvest them by early to mid-June, and you got these wonderful big bulbed onions that are fantastic. They're easy to grow. Give them water, give them fertilizer, and just let them go. And then that's why I brought in some corn.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about some corn because okay, I like eating corn. My wife does not like eating corn.
Like sweet corn?
Yeah. She does not care for sweet
So
corn.
good. Are you kidding me?
I know. So except now she does. Okay? Because it's all about when you pick it, right? And getting that sweet corn just at the right time and finding a good variety. So the last few years I've been growing this ambrosia from Botanical Interest. Sweet.
Take a look. Oh yeah.
It's a very nice.
The bicolor.
Yeah.
Yellow and white.
And it holds up pretty well. It's not one that you have to pick within 2 hours of one day, otherwise it doesn't taste good.
It's got a larger window.
Some sweet corn, it's like you got to be like too detailed. Okay?
In the sweet spot.
I just want to be a few days, call it done, right? And then the other thing that I grow is popcorn, and that's these. But here's the danger. Do not grow them, do not have them tasseling at the same time, because your popcorn will fertilize your sweet corn, and your sweet corn will taste like not good.
Interesting. It actually will affect the finished product.
Because in all these other things, I'm holding up a pepper.
It's a fruit.
It's a fruit. What's a corn?
It's a grain?
It's a seed.
Seed, yeah.
It's not the fruit. So it'd be like eating the pepper seed.
that may actually be affected.
That could have been affected by your genetics that came about, right? So corn, you're eating the seed.
So you stagger your plantings or what?
So yes, what you do, like right now, if you look at it on that packet, it's like, was it 70 days or 45 days?
75 days to maturity.
75 days to maturity.
That's pretty quick. Gosh, a little over 2 months.
And the popcorn is like 100 some days, right?
Yep.
Yep. And so here's what you do. I start my sweet corn right now, and then in about 3 weeks, I'll start my popcorn. So I make sure I have a large,
big buffer,
big window where they're not tasseling at the same time. Okay, that's the flower at the top of the corn that has the pollen that has to fertilize every one of the silks that's on the corn, because every silk has a string that goes to it that has to get fertilized, otherwise you don't get a kernel, right? So it's all wind blown, and you could do whatever you want, you could shake the plant, but if you don't plant at least a square like 3x3 or 4x4, you're just not going to get the amount of
to wind pollinate. So do them in blocks.
You need to grow in blocks. But if you stagger that time, and it's worked well for me by doing it this way, then what I'll do is I'll get my early sweet corn. Then because we have a long summer, so we can grow it again. So what I do is I wait for the popcorn to stop tasseling. It's no longer, and basically the corn has been pollinated of the popcorn now. Now I could plant my second set. Now I could keep planting.
You have waves of corn coming off.
Planting more sweet corn. And
how do you know when that sweet corn is at its sweetest? What are you looking for?
I'm not an expert at this, but what I do is you can feel that it's filled up, that the husk is full. Pop it open a little bit, and with your thumbnail, I think if you see some milky, it's right.
Starch is ready.
It's ready to go. And so anytime that it's young, I've picked it when it's too early. It's still sweet. Oh yeah, it's when it gets too old that it starts to get not so tasty. But you can eat it earlier. It's just not. It's okay.
There we go.
But now that I've grown this ambrosia, now my wife, she does like it.
She's on board with some sweet corn.
And what I do, because one of the things about any of these things is how do you eat all this corn? Really it's tough. So what I do, I found, a friend told me, she does is she takes that sweet corn and she just cuts off the kernels and freezes them in the freezer.
You use them whenever you're ready.
Use them whenever, soups and cook whatever you want to do. You can, and it does really well. Flavor's all there. Popcorn lasts for years. So these ears that I brought in are last year.
It's dried and it'll
last summer.
Store well.
So that's the thing with popcorn is you let them grow until the ear is completely dry. The corn, the stalk is dry. And by the way, these make 12-foot stalks.
So it just looks cool
and
out in the garden.
They're like 2 inches around. They're like trees. It is so cool. My daughter has dibs on them every year for a float for the 4-H show that she does. Floats, it's like they use them for the floats and decoration.
Oh yeah,
because they're awesome. I mean, they're just amazing. I have some I tried from 3 years ago of the popcorn, and they pop exactly the same as a year ago. It's amazing the storage ability of popcorn. Because remember, Native Americans used corn a lot. They didn't grow sweet corn. They grew corn like these kinds of corn that can be stored until they ground it up and make cornmeal, whatever you want to do with it. So it's a long storage crop. It's fantastic.
It's a good plant to grow if you have the space and you want to be like, I want to feel successful right away, because they were like, the sun's out, you're watering them. Like you talk about sunshine, good soil, a little bit of water. So Dave, knowing what you know, what is the best advice that you'd give to a gardener right now?
Number one, to garden, okay? Get out and do something, but don't do what I do. Don't overdo, okay? I overdo, right? My gardening. Start small, do something you can put your arms around and feel good about, and grow a couple of things that you would like to eat. Just, and focus on that, and you'll be successful. Or, because when I've seen people fail, they failed because their eyes are bigger than their ability.
Or dreamed a little bit too much.
They've been visiting all these beautiful gardens and all these people and thinking that they could do, don't start there, and also they'll grow things. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going to pick on okra only because it's not something I grew up with, and but there's people who really love okra, and there's people who have no idea what to do about okra. But because it looks like a cool plant, they'll just grow okra. And it's like, now what do I do with? No, don't grow okra unless you like okra. That's just. It sounds obvious, but you can't believe how many people don't follow those.
Grow what you like.
Those basic ideas, and then they'll be happy if you check out a garden club. Go reach out to some of these different gardeners you might see in your local area. And gardeners love to talk about their garden. They love to talk about anything to do with gardening. So go ask, go talk. You're going to find support there, And I think people are afraid. Don't be afraid to feel like you don't know enough to everybody was there, so don't worry about it. Go ahead and ask the dumb question. It's okay.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for making time for me. I had such a blast talking with you. I got some food to share with you from our garden, so hopefully don't leave empty-handed. But man, I cannot wait to talk more about plants with you. I see you in the Facebook group all the time. So please, actually, I'm going to implore, please share some photos. I would love to see your progress, both at your own home garden, but also in the community gardens.
Yeah, we'll do.
I'd love to see what you guys are working on and share that with people, because I think there's a lot of value in kind of taking other people along on that journey who maybe aren't going to get out there and see it, and maybe might encourage them to do something that they haven't done before. Because I love what you do. I think what you do for the community and I think it's fantastic, and we need more of it. We need more gardeners and growers just like you, and so I can't say thank you enough.
Thanks. It's always fun. I don't like talking about tomatoes. You know that.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to twist your arm to talk tomatoes and gardening.
No, it's great fun. Thank you very much for having me here today.
All right, we are back from our interview with Dave. Big thank you to Dave. So great spending time with you. And thank you also. I got to shoot a little video with Dave to promote this episode. So I don't know if any of our listeners saw that, but he was showing off some of his corn. He's grown that corn that is hybridized for popping. And didn't he gave you some, right? He gave me some.
I loved it. So I showed up ready to rock. I brought a bunch of produce from the garden, so I felt ready. So thankfully, I did that, because if I didn't, he actually did show up with produce. So he had some corn that he grew the summer before, and it had been hybridized to just be this nice, big, round, spherical popping corn.
It's gorgeous.
It's definitely not one you're going to want to eat raw, not a sweet corn. Although he talked about the sweet corn too. Honestly, I haven't grown a lot of corn in my summer gardens, just because I can go get it for so cheap at the store. But you know what? After talking to him about the flavor of that sweet corn he was showing us, and just the way it looked too was pretty, those multicolors, but just the sweetness, the freshness, and then talking. And we actually did utilize that popcorn in my class. My students, we had a pretty good day, so I was like, "Hey, check this out."
Oh, you popped it at school?
Yeah. So we have a little microwave nearby, and so I was like, "Watch this." We popped them right off the cob. I actually just put them right into a bag. 2.5 minutes. It exploded. Just a handful of the kernels. It was a third of the cob, because I was like, "Oh, this isn't very much. We'll just have a little bit." And so it was just a third of the cob filled up an entire paper bag. It was bursting almost out of the microwave, and they didn't look like normal popcorn. They weren't all flattened out and exploded. They looked like
round,
almost like
puffy
asteroids or planets, planetoids, where they
Cool.
had kind of rough, cratery surfaces, but it was spherical, crunchy, and sweet and light. And we didn't even put anything on it. Kids loved it. It actually went really quick.
Oh, man.
Didn't last long. But I was like, that's kind of fun, because you can grow it, and then you harvest it. And those were ones that he grew last year, so he'd been holding on to those.
Yeah, they store well. So yeah, if you want to try this, I highly recommend. It's a fun activity, an easy to grow crop. It's this special popcorn that was hybridized just for popping, and it's available in the stores at the seed rack. It's a botanical interest seed packet, and it's our popper or something like that. And I think there's a couple options for popping.
I
So
saw
check
them. I was
that
there
out.
today. Actually, I saw a bunch. I was actually pretty inspired, so I may even have a few rows that I have to put in a couple blocks, because if you're going to grow the corn, you need to have at least enough of it they're wind pollinated to really get some success. But I don't know, from the idea of storing it later to eating it or having the sweet corn fresh. And he mentioned that he cuts them down later for, seasonal decorations and whatnot. Say no more.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's good
It's kinda
stuff.
fun.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for coming by, speaking with us, inspiring us, and it was an absolute blast hanging out with you. So thank you so much. I hope all of our listeners enjoyed it. Kevin, that's all the time for this week. Go ahead and take us out.
Well, I agree with Austin. Thanks, Dave. That was awesome. We loved it. So shout out to Dave Fierro, folks, of the president of the Auburn Garden Club. Get out there in your own gardens. He is so passionate about the community gardens he's in and the people they work with. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. You can have a lot of success and joy gardening by yourself. Not enough to be said about that. But I think if you share that passion and joy with others like Dave is doing, there's exponential growth there. So I think that's something to be said about Dave and his work. Shout out to all you listeners out there. We love you being here each and every week. I hope you are gardening. I know I am. And if you need me, I'll be out in the garden. Until next week, garden friends, happy gardening to you all. And please never stop growing.